I'm Jenny Walterman, and this is my personal goals video presentation for Practicum for Building Leadership. Some of my personal information, I put some pictures in here of our family that just keeps growing and growing. My husband is Kenny, and I'm a mom, and we have a blended family with 5 children. We now have 2 daughter-in-laws and a son-in-law and 5 grandchildren. So our family just keeps getting bigger and bigger. A little bit more about me personally. I'm a musician. I was raised by musicians and have played music my whole life. Taught music before I transitioned to secondary business education. I also am a composer, a gardener, an introvert, and I enjoy reading and knitting, bird watching, and fishing. My educational background is I went to high school, of course, and then I went to Kansas State University for violin performance. And then I transferred to CMSU, which I think is now called UCM, for music education. And during this time, I taught violin, piano, and voice for about 22 years. And also worked in corporate America and did various things accounting related. And then I decided to go back to school to complete my bachelor's degree in secondary business education, and I chose Grand Canyon University to do that. And after completing that program, I became a business teacher at Lansing School District for a semester, and then a SPED Collab teacher with the KCK School District, and then accepted a position teaching business with Paola School District, and I've been there since. And I taught business at Paola, and then I became the FBLA advisor, and I did that for about 4 years. After that, while I was doing that, I decided to get my master's degree in instructional technology, and I started that in 2018, and I completed it in May of 2020, which was very timely because of all the technology needs our school had at that time due to going virtual for school. I also created and implemented an internship program during this time and worked on different projects, co-curricular projects for students and staff in our building. I then decided to go back to school at Fort Hays State again and get my building leadership master's, and I started that in the winter of 2021 and should complete that in July of 2023. After starting that program in about 21, I continued with my internship program. I developed a job shadowing program and then accepted a new role in the 6 through 12 IPS and real world learning coordinator position for the school district. Some of my personal goals in the next 1 to 5 years, our last 2 children in the home are going to be transitioning out of the home, and we will become empty nesters. And one of the big projects we like to do when we're not feeding a whole bunch of boys in the house all the time is to plan and install an irrigation system for our gardening and our pots and all of that. It takes me about half the morning in the summers to water all of that. So I'm looking forward to making my life a little easier in the summertime. And then I would like to complete this second grad program and be done with going to grad school for the last time. Following that, in the next 6 to 10 years, I anticipate that we will downsize to a smaller home, try to get rid of a lot of our stuff, and then be retirement ready for our last home that's hopefully on 1 level and no stairs. I would like to travel more after I finish grad school and just enjoy my grandkids and make more music. Beyond that, it's hard to imagine beyond that, beyond 10 years, but probably it's just going to involve a lot of family. And my husband's 8 years older than me, so I anticipate him retiring in like the next 10 to 12 years. And I don't know what will happen at that point. Hopefully, more travel and home projects. We enjoy doing projects together. Professionally, in the next 1 to 5 years, I want to complete this grad school program, build a CTE and real world learning program that's really robust in our district. I would like to sunset my FBLA advisor role and transition that to a younger teacher, and then eventually transition to some sort of leadership role here in Paola that's maybe real world learning related CTE or IPS. And I would like to start mentoring new teachers, younger for business teachers. And then after that, the next 6 to 10 years, I would like to work on establishing some building norms for IPS at the middle school level, implement IPS and CTE programming at the elementary schools, maybe through some STEM clubs, robotics, that kind of thing. Implement more CTE programming at the high school. Maybe try to have more clear pathways, perhaps start some 21st century academies. I would like to join ACTE, which is a professional CTE leaders association, and go to a professional conference about every 2 to 3 years just to stay current and relevant with what's going on in the CTE world. And then I would like to volunteer and help with efforts of recruiting new teachers in our field. Beyond that, beyond 10 years, I hope to transition to a district leadership role for CTE or IPS, or perhaps curriculum and instruction if we are really moving in a direction of trying to incorporate real world learning and project based learning into all core curriculums, and maybe help drive that initiative. And then I would like to get involved at the state or national level in CTE programming policy and or continuing education training for new teachers. So why did I choose Fort Hays State? I first heard about Fort Hays State from a colleague at Lansing High School when I had first started my very first teaching job. I did not have master's program on my brain at all, but they were just raving about the program, and the cost primarily is what they were talking about. And then I heard about Fort Hays again from another colleague at Paola High School who was actually doing the admin program. And so when I was researching different schools, definitely the cost for the college was something that caught onto me, but also the reputation of the college, the awards that have been won, the programming that was outlined for an online program would just seem to be unmatched by any other school I was looking at when I first started. And then their online learning program just seemed like a really well-oiled machine. It was consistent. It was able to be flexible and individualized. And I, had done quite a bit of online schooling by completing my degrees online from, while being a stay-at-home mom and homeschooler. I just have had a lot of different experiences with online college programs that are not easy to use, not consistent, and I just really appreciated the formatting of the programming at Fort Hays. And then it just seemed like anytime I sent an email or an inquiry, there was just a very quick responsiveness, and I didn't feel like you were trying to sell me something that wasn't true, but were very direct and honest about the program and what I could and couldn't expect from it. And I appreciated that honesty and transparency in the school representing their programming. So my program expectations for this building leadership master's is I'd really like to learn about building scheduling. How do they, build a whole schedule for all of the students and all the staff, and how do they decide what courses to offer and how many sections of each course to offer? I'm really interested in learning about that. And course content programming. How do you know when it's time to sunset a course or add a new level? Those types of things I'm excited to learn about. I would like to learn about school financing and school budgeting for a building, and what all are the responsibilities of the principal and what are the responsibilities of the finance department at the district. How does all of that work together? And then I'd like to learn how to set standards and expectations while dealing with big personalities in a building. How, just some of that. Sometimes it's members of the community wanting to come into the school, and teachers wanting to do big initiatives, and just kind of balancing all of that with different personalities where you're encouraging innovation and encouraging creative education, but also reining it in when necessary without, killing people's inspiration. I'd like to learn about different kinds of teacher evaluative methods, ways to evaluate that can bring about effective change in student learning and staff culture. What do we do to pivot staff culture when we feel like we're stuck in one place and nobody wants to try anything new? And then I just would like to complete this program and do it within the next 2 to 3 years. Just really push to take as many classes as I can handle each semester in order to finish it and increase my career. And move forward in the next 2 to 3 years. That's it for my presentation here. Thanks for listening.